welcome to Nerds and Nodes, the Mac AI podcast. This year, we're hosted by Dr. Jodie Lobana, a distinguished professor and researcher of AI governance. Each episode will have a different expert come in and cover a variety of topics, including their own experiences and career path, current developments in AI, real-world applications of the work, and even some speculations for the future. So if you're interested in hearing advice directly from the experts in AI, this is the podcast for you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nerds and Nodes, our podcast from McMaster University, McMaster AI Society. Today, our guest is Cyrus Tehrani. He is the acting CIO of City of Hamilton. Welcome, Cyrus, to the podcast.
Thanks, Jodie. Really appreciate you having me on board.
Yeah, thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. Lots of things are happening at City of Hamilton. But before we start to talk about anything technical matters, whether it's the digital transformation that's happening at the city or how you're using artificial intelligence, I wanted to go back to and try to see your own personal journey, the human journey of Cyrus to become the acting CIO of the great city of Hamilton. So can you just take us through at a high level your professional journey?
Sure, happy to share. And I'll be honest, it's quite varied. And I think the message there is that your path may change over the years, and I'm really happy to have had the opportunities I've had. So, starting way back, I actually went to McMaster. I'm a McMaster graduate. I was in the mechanical engineering and management program there. When I came out of Mac, I had a manufacturing engineering role for a large transformer manufacturer doing large power distribution transformers, and really started and worked my way up from there. Ended up having the quality department, looking after operations and productions, and then also had the opportunity to get certified as a Six Sigma black belt. It was a global operations. I then went on and did training, green belt training at other facilities in my role as the black belt for that particular facility. There was 8 worldwide. From there was a bit of a downturn in manufacturing in the Ontario economy. And at that point, I had some choices of commuting or working abroad three weeks of the month, and decided that probably wasn't going to fit well with a young child at the time. So I actually pivoted. I went into education. I was in education for did some consulting, then went into education. And there and sort of missed the project management side of things because I'm also a project manager. Ended up back in healthcare. Helped lead sort of the IT project side of one of the local hospital here. It was built out, the West Fifth Mental Health Facility. That's part of St. Joseph's Healthcare. From there, I took over the project management office, and then I became the director of digital transformation, and basically had sort of the IT portfolio within the local hospital. At that point, an opportunity came up at the city, and they had a new role, chief digital officer, which seemed really interesting to me in terms of helping bring innovation and also transformation from a digital perspective to the city. Didn't really know a lot. I think with most people, it's like, hey, is my garbage picked up? Is my streets plowed? Really didn't understand the breadth of what a tier 1 municipality, tier 1 being that we look after everything: water, sewer, golf courses, cemeteries, parks. There's about 78 different service lines that the city provides. And then recently had the opportunity to move into the acting CIO role, as well as keeping my digital officer sort of portfolio as well. And that brings us to where I am today.
That's amazing. Thank you for giving us this 10,000 feet snapshot. But it seems like that you've moved over the years to various different industries, various different positions. What was the central driving force for you as you were changing those positions? I always moving upwards, I see.
I think I'm just really an avid learner. I'm interested in a wide range of areas and fields. And sometimes it was just by happenstance where opportunities came up. Others I sought out. And often it was just, you've done something, you're ready for a change, you're given more responsibility. You've either exhibited yourself competent in an area, and that helps move you into new positions. And I think I'm comfortable really with, I don't have mental hesitations about picking on new topics. And maybe that's the engineering background in me, where we're taught to sort of linearly think through a problem and approach it. So it doesn't matter if it's a problem in engineering and manufacturing and technology or otherwise. But for me, it's really been about just continuing to evolve and move to opportunities that like I love the work I do. I love all my roles, and it's really keeping yourself engaged and interested and continuing to learn, like lifelong learning through your career experiences.
Yeah, beautiful. And you are an alumni of McMaster University. I mean, that's now working in City of Hamilton. There's a close connection between the two, right? It's like there's a lot of projects that are happening between McMaster and City of Hamilton, not just on the innovation side, but I see whether it's on the health sector or other domains, there's always a desire, at least on the McMaster University's part, to have those projects with City of Hamilton.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of it cross-pollination, and then that's the thing about Hamilton. The kind of the tagline is everybody's one phone call away, and we have our anchor institutions group that includes McMaster and the city and even Mohawk as well, and a few other institutions. We have a shared program with McMaster. It's called the City Lab program. So the City Lab is sort of an innovation hub where we bring projects that are of interest to the city, and then we make them available and try to pair them with post-secondary. And we have a lot of pickup through McMaster courses in engineering and other disciplines to take on those projects as a semester. And we actually have a fairly unique program. We have a classroom, a living classroom on site behind City Hall, and we run a program called Semester in Residence. And it's actually taught by McMaster professors. It's a program that Mac students can sign up for. They get the equivalent of 15 course credits, but it's combined into this one experiential learning program that's delivered out of the building right beside City Hall, like literally 50 meters beside City Hall, and runs out of that City Lab program. And the City Lab program is a jointly funded collaborative program between the City of Hamilton, McMaster, Mohawk, and Redeemer. So great opportunities for students, both from the project side, through the project matching program and the semester in residence program, and also departmental areas work with the university in different capacity for various projects as well.
So can you talk about a couple projects, just if students are listening and they want to get involved with City Lab, what are the type of projects City Lab does?
It's everything. We might do work with partners in the community. They're not all technology related by any means. We have one of the projects, for example, is looking at increasing diversity in recruitment for the Hamilton Fire Department. We have programs where there's trades programs that work on building and refurbishing social housing. We have currently a project with I believe it's a master's student that's looking at evaluating a Wi-Fi router that it mounts on street fixtures or lighting poles, and looking at what the opportunities are around that to bring Wi-Fi connectivity to areas that are not serviced. We don't have the conduit, we don't have the fiber or anything like that. So that's just a brief example that comes to mind. I think last semester we did about 24 projects, and students are welcome to check out City Lab Hamilton. And they would look to, if they're interested, they should look internally, I think I assume it's the registrar's office or the programs that offer that semester in residence, because they actually sign up through McMaster as part of their course delivery program.
Oh, wow. So is the funding for the City Lab comes from the city, or it's a joint funding between McMaster?
It's a joint funded program between the four partners.
Okay. And who are the other two partners again?
So it's a Mohawk College and Redeemer University, McMaster, and the City of Hamilton. There's four of us.
Okay, perfect. It seems like it's a great opportunity for McMaster students. And perhaps there could be a possibility, because this particular podcast is being delivered by McMaster AI Society. And so within City Lab, perhaps there could be a sub-lab of artificial intelligence that can be set up to do AI-related projects with the
That would be fantastic. We shall talk more offline. Definitely interested in pursuing that.
That sounds good. Thanks, Cyrus. And since we started to talk about artificial intelligence and the digital strategy for City of Hamilton, can you tell us where do you see the city landing in next 5 years with regards to its digital initiatives and particularly artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so just broadly on the digital front, I think it's I'm not saying anything here that people don't know, but generally public sector does lag. You think about the experience, the Amazonification of user experience and expectations, even what you can do, with your banks. It's difficult for municipalities, I think, because again, the scope of the work that we deliver on, we also have to think about addressing all our residents, whether they're newcomers, whether they're seniors. So we don't necessarily have a digital first mandate, but we're definitely moving in that direction of making it more options available to residents to interact with city services. We've seen even the evolution during COVID, where people can delegate to council remotely. We are in the midst of upgrading our CRM, customer relationship management solution, and it's going to have some of these additional enhancements as it relates to like virtual agents and things like that. So I think it's about moving the needle on giving options to residents and businesses to more efficiently interact with city services. So that's kind of the 10,000 foot level, or maybe it's 100,000 foot, I'm not sure, around digital strategy. And it incorporates all other areas. As it relates to AI, I'll be the first to admit we are not a development shop. So, developing, AI models to give us indications of trends and forecasting and things like that. I think we're going to get there. We tend to be at this stage more of a procurer of solutions that may include AI or running pilots. So, for example, we recently just launched our generative AI policy and our guidelines. We've developed an LMS course that staff will be able to take very shortly that walks them through the basics of what are these generative language models and what are the tools that are out there and what are some of the cautions and restrictions that staff need to be aware of. We've done some technology pilots through funding partnerships. For example, we worked with a local company in Burlington called Iris, where we did some vision recognition work where we had an IoT device mounted in our garbage trucks, and we were looking at waste audit information. So the number of waste bins, how many bins were put out, recycling bins, compost bins, and seeing how we could use that information to inform program delivery and doing it sort of in an automated fashion. The actual building of maybe, as I said, solutions built on AI, homegrown, we're not there, but I think it's going to come. And I think the other thing is I do think there's a bit of hype. We're going to see where the hype lands. It's not going to solve every problem, but I see, what some vendors are doing in the software space around helping to alleviate tasks that can be automated. And I know robotic process automation's been around for a while, of course, but even things like, being able to, summarize content, being able to be used for digital communications and graphic design, those things, helping with social media, postings, again, very early stages, and really a tool. So the key thing is it's not going to replace humans. It's a tool for humans is sort of we call it sort of creative experimentation is sort of the tagline that I would put around it to understand it within the guidelines that we have established. But I definitely see as more solutions start to adopt these tools, if I want to cast my head, 10, 15 years, will we have AI algorithms that are automatically adjusting for traffic flow? They probably exist already, but there's a readiness stage to get there, and you have to have the safety mechanisms and all that. Will we have better ability to interact with citizens to get the information they need quickly through tools like voice and natural languaging? Definitely. Will there be common tools? And again, if you think about the evolution of just productivity software, we're seeing it creep into even that, the old days of running your office online and only be able to get access to your documents and moving to cloud. And I'm stating stuff that's kind of old school now, but I think that trend is going to continue, and we definitely see interest in municipalities looking at use cases that make sense and not doing AI just because it's AI and it's flashy and it's a silver ball, but really trying to figure out use cases that add value and have that ROI associated with them.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's the pathway to take. And I see as I talk with organizations nationally as well as internationally, I think there are most organizations, except if you ignore the top companies, either the big tech firms or JP Morgans of the world, they are trying to scale AI. Rest of them are either in the training stage, experiment stage, or running pilot projects. So scaling of big, especially generative AI projects, is not really a commonplace just yet.
I would 100% agree with you, and that aligns. And if anything, we always tend to sort of lag in a sense of just being cautious about the work that we do and making sure we have a lot of priorities and making sure we're focusing on the priorities that add the biggest value to residents, and where AI fits in and exploring that
Yeah,
as well. But it's definitely something that's in the experimental stage, I would say.
yeah. Actually, a lot of organizations have started using Microsoft's Copilot. Perhaps you guys are also experimenting with that.
We're reviewing Copilot. There are challenges with Copilot because you have to have also good data management and data controls in place around your data. So it's not sometimes for municipalities where we have large instances and large Microsoft footprints about making sure it's done in a manner that makes sense and add value. Obviously, the free tools like the websites or some of the search tools that are available, those are available to staff and available to anybody, right? Even
Yeah.
now out of the box, and those are there. Yeah, so it's something that's on our roadmap. But we just need to be very diligent and make sure we have the foundational blocks, because sometimes if we move too quickly, we have to really make sure from a data privacy perspective, security perspective, we have all those I's dotted and T's crossed. So we tend to inch along as we have the foundational pieces in place.
Yeah.
And there's a costing component, right? It's it's not a cheap product either. And how
Yeah.
does that make sense to add productivity value to staff?
That's what I'm hearing from other organizations too, that Microsoft as well as OpenAI's products are not as uh, inexpensive as you would like, especially the OpenAI's GPT-4. Yes, they're making it available to public, but once enterprise wants it, they need to have proper enterprise agreements and the private servers, private instance of the servers, and all of those things. For OpenAI to give that, it's quite costly and
Yeah, like
significant.
even the basic sort of professional subscription to either starts at $25 a month per user, so it adds up pretty quick from a costing perspective, and I'm not sure it's there yet on the productivity benefits that it brings, in a ready with sort of pressures on budgets all around to deliver on larger transformation type projects. But I think it's going to get there. And I think it's interesting to see how it's evolving, and definitely I think it's the vendors have a key stake. They've told their investors, we put this money in, and now the investors want to see that return on sales growth as it relates to the AI tools, and it's fascinating to watch it evolve, of course.
Sure, definitely. You guys were developing a policy as well. Is it still in works on the generative AI?
No, we finalized that. So we have a policy and a guideline. And we actually worked with the Montreal AI Ethics Institute and a few other groups. Actually, McMaster provided some. It was shared with some folks at McMaster who provided feedback through it was the Digital Policy Master's Program as well. And that's been issued to kind of guide staff, really. And it talks about what are the acceptable use cases, how do you cite the use of AI, some of the key principles there that we've incorporated into it, align with some of the federal policy statements that have come out around the use of generative AI. So we've kind of focused on, and again, we went broader because we wanted to get ahead of thinking about development of AI solutions. So in the city, as I said, we're not developing any AI tools whatsoever. So some of this
Yeah.
won't apply, but we wanted to be sort of on that leading edge. So, valid and reliable, safe, secure and resilient, accountable and transparent, explainable and interpretable. And even that one gets challenging when you're buying software solutions like Copilot. Nobody knows really what's happening underneath the hood around Copilot.
Yeah.
Privacy focused, fair, with harmful bias managed, and public purpose and social benefit. So I know those are kind of high level areas that align to some of the provincial and federal pieces which we use to help reference, but it at least gives staff some guidance, and also guidance when if there is down the road engagement with vendors, we have a template that guides sort of the use cases around it as well.
And privacy concerns that you have raised are the main concerns, the main hurdles that organizations are facing in taking on generative AI type of products. Now, what I've seen though is there are 2-3 main areas that that organizations are starting to deploy. One is for their internal processes, not client-facing processes, but more the internal processes. Second is knowledge management. So as there's a lot of knowledge within the city of Hamilton that you may want to give to your employees, and whether it's the policies and procedures, etc. So they've been able to apply generative AI for that. And the third area is where the information is already available for public anyways. So even if for some reason it gets disclosed to external parties, there's no harm done because the information was already kind of public. So perhaps the city can start to look into those areas.
Yeah, Jodie, I think you nailed kind of the common starting points of interest, and especially around public data. We've had some discussions early on around other abilities to take, say, the parsing abilities of natural language tools to be able to present public information in a manner that's easily it can be easily more quickly accessed, or can be summarized as well, because the content is already public and available in other formats associated with it. So yeah, definitely lots of opportunities coming down the pipe, and cities are often data rich, I would say, but sometimes maybe structure poor associated with their data, of making it usable in some cases for that. And again, with that said, we do have an open data program where we make data available, and that's another opportunity around third parties using public data for their own purposes as well through our open data portal.
Definitely. And the city of Hamilton collaborates with other cities, because every city around Canada and in US, but let's say in Canada, is going through the similar process of trying to figure out what to do with generative AI and the new artificial intelligence that's coming into play. Are there forums where the CIOs get together and talk about sharing some of their insights?
Yep, and I actually sit on a group with I think I'm one of the few Canadian representatives, but there's a large sort of sharing AI community of practice out of the US. And also in Canada here, we have a municipal AI working group that meets monthly, where municipalities come or we have guest speakers come and share the work that's happening. So there is that information exchange that's happening amongst municipalities. Because the nice thing about municipalities is we don't compete, right? We're looking to always learn from each other. And the US group has done things around create sort of checklists for vendors, and it's a large collaboration group that is making shared resources available so that cities don't have to recreate things from scratch and can use some of the shared resources. So it's great, and I think there's a lot of interest and understanding going forward how this can roll out into the municipal sector.
And thank you for that. So now just kind of turning to our audience members, which many of them are from McMaster, but from other universities possibly as well. So if they wish to, in their career, 20 years down the line, get to be the CIO of some organization, what advice that you would want to give them? That how should they, what should they study at university level, or maybe at master's in their master's degree, and how should they work? What should be some of their earlier positions that they should contemplate on, so they can have the trajectory that you've had?
Yeah, so I think, Jodie, I think a lot of it's about finding something that you're passionate about. And I think a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure on young students to like figure out right out of high school what they want to go into, pick a program, go into post-secondary, or go into whether it be, trades, the college route, the university route. It doesn't really matter. I think my messaging would be is, you're just starting your career and you're starting your educational pathway. You think about it, your career may change. You may go on and do other things. You may take certification programs. You might land a job that you're like, oh, I really didn't have exposure to this, and now I'm interested and I want to, do some professional learning. So for university students, my advice would be is try a lot of different things. And in that case, it might be getting involved in clubs. It might be going to lectures. It might be, say, getting involved with the AI Society at McMaster, even if you're not maybe in a field where you're like, oh, that's for the engineers or that's for others. No, like just go, listen in, participate, and broaden your horizons, so that when you come out, you kind of have both components that you can include on your resume as professional experience, because that will make you more attractive to employers. And don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone to learn about things. If going to these types of things or being part of clubs or other groups isn't your thing, like think about like LinkedIn Learning. If you go to school in Hamilton, you can get a library card, a digital library card, and you have full free access to LinkedIn Learning tools. There's online courses that you can take that might be interest. Get audiobooks about things, and really think about, what does your resume look like, and having a bit of diversity on there. Volunteer. That will set you up, I think, for, that transition from post-secondary to maybe your first career, and then leverage the tools that exist within your employers. Find out about if they offer professional development programming, if you can go to courses that they will cover, seminars. Often a lot of I attend conferences and they're often free to attend, or it's a nominal fee for students. So think about those types of things and then continue to learn. And that would be my key message: is make sure you and don't worry about, that. I think the days of, starting a career and staying in that career don't exist anymore. I think, I don't know if I heard the latest stat was like 7 to 10, different roles over a career. And, that's the advice I would give. Hopefully I answered your question in a bit rambly fashion, but.
No, definitely. I must tell you that even my career went through what you've just said. I started off doing my degree in accounting. I'm a chartered accountant back from 2000. Interestingly, when you did your degree in between 93 to 98, I was as I was preparing for this interview, I was looking through your LinkedIn profile. You did it in McMaster. I was at Waterloo at the same time.
So see, it's not necessarily what you do undergrad in. The world is your oyster post, and it's one step that you need in whatever post-secondary program you're in. But it can jump you in a whole bunch of different ways, and just be open to opportunity.
Yeah, so I've gone from that to now working in AI governance. I did my PhD at McMaster between 2016 and 2021. So also age is not a factor. So if people can at any time decide to go back to university and do a further degree from what they've done before. That's beautiful. And just extending a little bit from now students to the citizens, citizens of the city. As part of your digital strategy, are there ways and mechanisms that the citizens of Hamilton are also educated towards more of the digital learning and artificial intelligence?
Yeah, I think from a municipal service delivery model, we tend to not venture into maybe the education side of things. We leave that to our academic partners. From an engagement perspective, though, we have multiple tools that we use to engage citizens with, to inform them about what's happening and getting their feedback. So again, not to focus on tools. That's where my head tends to go, obviously, in my role. But right before COVID, we had launched a digital engagement platform called engage.hamilton.ca. And it really came in handy when we had sort of the public meeting restrictions that were in place during COVID. Definitely would an opportunity to collect feedback from residents, and it's one channel. We don't rely just on a digital tool. We have in person, we have public meetings, we have council meetings, we have a whole variety of public engagement tools. But I think that is one avenue where if people are interested in. And the other one I would point to is really our public library system is really offers a wide range of opportunities. They do training, they do technical help, they offer courses. Our Mohawk, for example, has a program called City School where they offer courses as well for people that might not have the opportunity to be able to attend post-secondary otherwise. So lots of opportunities there. Maybe not so much in the space of the city directly providing training or guidance on that. We do, for example, on the broadband side, which is a little bit different, we have created a broadband portal, hamilton.ca/internet, where we make information available for residents on how to get connected. We talk about the funding programs that are available through partners to support digital equity, and whether it be connectivity rebates through the carriers or just a list of providers of getting connected and then sources to get training, things like that.
Interesting. So is the Wi-Fi now available throughout the city, or how does Wi-Fi work? I know that when I go around in a city, I'm taking my cell phone everywhere, and it already has the Wi-Fi or the 5G that I need. But now cities, do they provide Wi-Fi citywide? Is there a provision like that?
Yeah, no, the infrastructure required to do that would be massive. Think about the coverage that you would need and the equipment and the connectivity. So we kind of leave that to the domain of the private carriers. But what we do in all our seniors centers, recreation centers, any facility, indoor facility that public may attend, there's public Wi-Fi. Obviously, I think it's 22 library branches all have Wi-Fi. There are certain locations where we also broadcast Wi-Fi in parks. I think we have, off the top of my head, I think nine parks that have Wi-Fi, or the transit terminal outside City Hall in the front courtyard, and even one of the two of the library branches also broadcast Wi-Fi outside of their building envelope. And again, we always look for new opportunities when it comes to retrofits to see where there's opportunities to expand that. And then obviously you have other providers out there that do that as well. So that's kind of making sure that at least if you're in a city facility, you have access to guest Wi-Fi.
So sounds good. You've mentioned senior care multiple times, and I guess senior care is a big thing that the city government pays attention to. I wanted to share with you an interesting idea that I've had. Is seniors, when they're around 65, between 65 to 75, a lot of them have good health these days, right? And so they can be of use, but they are already retired. While seniors that are, let's say, from 75 to 95, they are the ones now starting to need services, need help, whether to do their groceries or just maybe they're lonely because their kids have gone away. One idea that I had that still needs to be deployed, and it's called Junior Seniors Helping Senior Seniors. So
I like the bridge between the two age groups.
Yes. And the way the idea is that imagine there's a blockchain. We bring a blockchain, and the junior seniors start to help the senior seniors. They start putting hours in, and everything is on the blockchain. The number of hours that they have put in. So when they become seniors, they can then get those hours back because it's already on the blockchain that they have helped seniors. And once that chain starts, the junior seniors will become senior eventually, and they'll use those hours, and then the chain continues for rest of the humanities
I like
life
it.
cycle.
Bank your senior support hours when you contribute as a junior senior. I like it. I think you're onto something there, Jody.
Thank you. Because I think we need to kind of help out each other, like as a society, especially once when AI starts to come into play. We're gonna need other humans' company, and we as city, especially, I think, I wonder if you guys contemplate on this. Yes, we need the digital facilities and artificial intelligence, but we need to help people connect with each other and people help each other. Do you guys have initiatives like that?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's not my area. We have a whole age-friendly program and a senior strategy that the city helps support, whether it be through rec programs, outreach programs. I'm not sure, I might be dating myself here, but I even know there was a program where people, again, you think about the technology gap where seniors could have like a virtual connection to some of the rec programs through a phone line. So the city does a large range of programming. I'll profess I'm not up to speed on all the different services that are offered through community partners and through the city directly. But we have we have a group that focuses on our just like we do for youth, newcomers, and seniors, and those are all streams within service delivery that the city provides as a Tier 1 municipality.
Sounds good. So apart from the seniors helping seniors, I was thinking about McMaster University students helping City of Hamilton people, especially seniors or people in need. What are the main ways? I think perhaps City Labs would be one of those initiatives, but what are the couple of different initiatives that they can tap into to help the city in doing what the city needs to do?
So I know there's a youth strategy. I'll profess I'm not sure on the how people would get involved in the youth strategy. There would definitely be involvement through City Lab programs. Again, usually it's their profs that would be sort of the leads on matching the city projects with their course curriculum delivery. So it's not one of those things where students can sign up for directly unless they're part of the semester in residence program. I'd also say there's Mac Changers, and I don't know a lot about that program, but I know even within McMaster, that program delivers sort of engagement opportunities for students to get involved with community partners going forward. And then again, maybe I'm not sure if the library has volunteer hours where students can help get involved in transferring their skills to others. Sorry, I'm not familiar with all the library programs, but I know it's massive, the amount of different programs that they offer. So there's a few ideas off the top of my head.
Sounds like a good plan for students, especially with Mac Changers, City Lab, libraries. There are many options for students to available if they are wanting to do that volunteer activity. And as you said before, that would be like their start of moving into a particular career as well. If they do volunteer in that area, and perhaps that will help them build their resumes in a new field.
Yeah, and I think I can even plug Mac here. I think Mac has a program where they collect recycled technology and they make that available. I think they make it available to a group called Empowered Squared. So it's a collection of technology that's then cleaned and repurposed for those that may not have access to the technology. And that's a program that Mac has developed and runs itself directly. And again, I know there's a broad range of community partners that are always looking for volunteers to help out with events. There's United Way, there's a lot out there. So if students just kind of think about leaving the campus area maybe and looking in the local community and getting connected to those agencies. And again, if maybe they commute to McMaster, I'd say in every city or even small towns, there's opportunities to get connected with volunteer programs.
Sounds good. We've covered many areas, but as we close out on the podcast, are there any other thoughts in your mind that you want to leave students with before we end the podcast?
I think, really it's find things that you're interested in. University, your 4 years, your 3 years, whatever program in post-secondary, it's a great time, and it goes by in a flash. So, take the time to like sometimes you're so head down in your courses and your assignments and getting prepped for exams. Make sure you're taking that time to kind of put your head up, look around, explore the opportunities that are presented to you through even what's available through colleges, clubs and other programs on your campus. If you want to go further afield to the community, even better, and make a point of looking for them. And I'm sure there's something you'll find that is of interest and will be some of the memories that you may keep more so than what you learned in your calculus class or your orgo-chemistry class that you struggled through.
Thank you, Cyrus. That was great advice. And thank you for your time today. I know you said before this meeting that this is probably your 6th meeting today, and maybe there are 4 more to go. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to McMaster AI Society, and real gratitude for being with us. And also now you are also advisory board member of McMaster AI Society as well. Thank you for joining. And we look forward to more projects and more collaborations between McMaster University and City of Hamilton.
No, and thank you on my part for having me. It's an honor to be part of the podcast, and hopefully there were some nuggets there that are useful to your audience. And again, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to be part of the board and participating in that fashion as well. Take care.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Nerds and Nodes, the Mac AI podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening in to this month's episode. As always, we hope to see you next time. If you liked listening to this episode, then please be sure to rate us and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. To subscribe to our newsletters and get monthly updates on our upcoming events and initiatives, please visit our website at mcmasterai.com. You can also get this information by following us on Facebook at McMasterAI or on Instagram at MacAI Society. If you're interested in supporting this podcast, you can become a sponsor by contacting us on social media or by email at macai@mcmaster.ca. Sponsorship comes with amazing benefits, like advertising on our website and on the shows themselves, the opportunity to join us as a guest, participation in our networking events, and more.
The Mac AI Society expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or information presented in this podcast.